Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Silver Screen Show. I'm your host, Labruski. With me, as always, is my co-host, Aiden. Aiden, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. How's your week been since I last saw you?
It's been decent. It's been decent. Decent, yeah.
Watch watch any good movies or TV shows other than the ones we are going to talk about today?
I saw this really good film called The Order.
Okay, I haven't heard of it. I don't
It's
think.
with Jude Law. It's about white supremacy in the 80s. And
Okay.
do you know who Mark Maron is?
Yes, I do. The
He's in it.
comedian.
Yeah, he's in it,
Yeah.
and it's like perfect, the perfect role for him. But it's a
Is
great film.
this is it a recent movie?
Yeah, yeah, it came out this year.
Okay. Is it what you watch it on or in theaters?
I think I rented it. I think I rented
Got
it.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about you?
I like Jude Law. Um I watched Severance. I caught up on Severance. Have
Oh,
you
I
seen
haven't
that?
seen the new season.
Dude, it was my second time. I rewatched the first season. So it was my second time rewatching the first season. Still blown away. I absolutely love that show. The second season from the first two episodes it's off to a great start with it. So
Okay, great,
I'm
great.
very happy. I think a new episode's coming out tonight or tomorrow. I can't remember. Um, but that show is just spectacular. Seriously.
Yeah. I remember it being the
I
first season was very good.
oh my goodness. I binged that first season. The first time I watched it within like a day, I think.
Yeah.
Like I was obsessed with it. I seriously think it's in like my top 10 favorite shows I think now ever. Like seriously,
Ever.
like
Okay.
I think so. Like it's that good. I love
What
the
what other
aesthetic.
shows are what other shows
Oh
are in this
gosh.
ranking?
Geez. The Sopranos,
Okay.
Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, um, maybe Barry is in there too. I
Great
didn't
choice.
love the last season though. I really liked like the first two more when it was
It
kind of
gets
more of a
darker.
light. It gets so dark and it's like tough
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah,
But
it
like the
gets really
first two
dark.
seasons are all four seasons are good, but like the first two are, I think, the most rewatchable. So that's definitely in there. Probably the Netflix show I think you should leave is in there for one of
Oh,
my
I've heard
favorite
of that.
comedy shows. It's Always Sunny has got to be in there.
Got yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of other shows that I really love. I said The Sopranos, Breaking Bad. I don't know about Better Call Saul. Yeah, I don't know about Better Call Saul. I do like that show a lot,
Hmm.
but Breaking Bad is a lot more fast paced. I feel like Better Call Saul's
Yeah.
it's definitely a bit of a slow burn a lot
There's
of
a
the
lot of
times.
legal stuff.
Yeah, so that can kind of get a little tedious, if you will.
Yeah, no, I know what you're
Um,
talking about.
yeah, so I think I'm sure there's others that I can't think of right now that I absolutely love, but those are all in probably my top 10. I don't know how many I listed either. I should have counted, but yeah, all those. What about you? What are some of your top shows?
Well, definitely Breaking Bad. Um,
Yeah,
to a controversial turn, Game of Thrones will always
I knew
be
you were
one of
gonna
my
say
favorite
that.
shows. Because I
I
mean,
knew you were gonna say
you
that.
can't beat those 6 seasons.
Ooh,
Um,
maybe Succession is in mine too. Actually, I love Succession. Yeah,
Succession has definitely. I think Succession. The more I've thought about Succession, the more I've like appreciated it.
I like the aesthetic of that show too. Like it's there's certain episodes that you just like watching because it is about a bunch of rich people, so you kind of get to
Yeah,
like imagine living in that world, and
I mean,
it's
just look at
it's
Fox News. That's pretty much what it's based on.
true with Murdoch's, I think.
But
Yeah, no, that's
speaking of
true.
Succession, as a segue,
Yeah,
Kieran Culkin. What did you think about
yeah.
him? And oh,
I
I
thought he
don't
was
know. I don't know.
really, I thought he was really good in it in a Real Pain. I know he won like a Golden Globe, I think, or
Hmm. Yeah, I
something. I
think
can't
so.
remember. He won an award for his performance in this, and I can see why. Um, and I do think he's really good. And yeah, I think he's such a good actor, and I'm so excited to see him in other roles. And it's pretty refreshing because in my eyes, he does such a good job playing Roman in Succession that here he is very much a different character in a lot of
Yeah.
respects.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so that was refreshing to see him not play Roman, I guess. Although I do love Roman in Succession. Um, but yeah, I thought he was great. What about you?
Well, I feel the same way. I've always found I like Kieran Culkin,
Hmm.
but when an actor is the exact same way in real life versus like how like not that he acts like Roman, but he has the same speech pattern and kind of
Similar
vibe.
mannerisms.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
always
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
felt like, it's a great performance in Succession. I don't know if it's stretch. And then this movie was like, I saw the trailer and I was like, it still feels a little like Roman. But once I
Mhm.
saw the film, it was a totally different character.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, he really blew me away. Like, I've thought about that performance a lot and just how, like, it's a very I feel like I've never really I mean, I've seen characters like that, but I don't really know if a character like that has resonated with me in so many ways. Because I'm so far from someone like that that
Mhm.
usually they can kind of like that unpredictability can kind of annoy me. But his character I found very understandable and quite
Yeah.
like three-dimensional.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a very flawed character in a lot of
Yeah.
respects, and the more we learn about him, the more we learn how flawed he really is. Um, but he is very relatable, and in the movie, there's this, um, I guess, theme. I don't know what you'd call it, but idea, I suppose, that he is with the two main characters. He's the one that's super likable. Everyone just loves him. He just knows how to like light up a room. He's very charismatic, and I think that comes across great when you're watching that film, where you really do start to like love that character. Um, so yeah, I mean, going back to his performance, I think it's great, and I think the character's well written. I think there's aspects of that character that I think anybody can identify either with themselves or with loved ones and friends, where they can kind of
Mhm.
recognize certain traits. I mean, he struggles. He doesn't have a drinking problem, does he? No, he smokes a lot of weed, which I guess
Yeah.
isn't bad necessarily. But it's said, he tried to, off himself by sleeping pills and stuff, and he's clearly somebody who has a lot of demons that he's battling.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that he tries to, I guess, try to like almost cure himself by, and this is how I interpret it. So maybe you had a different interpretation, but he's like overly charismatic and nice, and he's just naturally kind of charming. And I think that's a way to almost make himself feel better about himself.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I took it. Um,
Okay.
but
No,
yeah,
I totally get that. I think that's a very astute observation. I mean, it's totally because of an insecurity. Um, I also saw him as like this person who really needed ever-changing environment. Like he's clearly got ADHD and he's very bored with things. I mean, like it's fitting that the movie is a travel movie because it's
right.
the exact kind of environment he needs to be in. And I mean, I thought Jesse Eisenberg was great too. And
Yeah.
I like how he gave another actor the more intriguing role, and he's very three dimensional on his own, and it was very different for I haven't seen Jesse Eisenberg exactly like that,
No, me neither.
and I thought he was great, and
I did
yeah,
too. Yeah,
I thought
I
all
agree.
the tourist like the tourists that they're with, I thought all those stories were really interesting.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I feel like we didn't learn too much about them. Um, but I think all those characters were interesting in their own right.
Mhm.
Um, we do kind of get we get a couple scenes where they kind of talk more so about their backgrounds and stuff, that dinner table scene, and then also when we're first introduced to those characters we get a sense of who they are. But yeah, no, I think the whole entire tour guide cast is interesting, and I think all those characters are interesting and all their backstory. Real quick in the chats, if Harvey Picar's ghost, which do you remember Harvey Picar from he's the comic book writer in American Splendor. Paul Giamatti played him. We talked about it.
Oh,
I think in our
is that what
first
the picture
episode.
is?
Yeah, so this is a comic guy. I don't know why his username is Harvey Picar's ghost, but so it is. He has a strong opinion that the
Wow. Okay.
SNL movie stunk. Wow. We'll get to that. I will say I enjoyed it. I think it had some flaws, but overall I thought it was pretty good. It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
He adds a low rent
Oh,
Aaron
that's
Sorkin
not
vibe
accurate. That's
the
not
whole
accurate.
film.
That's not accurate. Sorry.
I don't know.
Very very wrong.
Oh goodness. He also says none of it seemed realistic, just the people playing bad impressions of their on-air personalities. But why behind scenes, which doesn't make sense.
Well, when you put it like that, it doesn't make sense. But
that is interesting.
Exactly.
We can talk about that in a second. Yeah, and then he says it's 100% accurate, you fool. I feel like it's a little. Oh, he's talking about the Aaron Sorkin. Wow.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm going to stay out of this one, to be honest. I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough on Aaron Sorkin films to have a
if you had a
opinion.
monologue, if the movie had a monologue that described like Aaron Sorkin's views on American politics, then it would be an Aaron Sorkin like movie.
Okay. He says it's a low rent Aaron Sorkin vibe, though.
No, I still disagree.
No? Okay.
I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means, but I don't think it's an Aaron Sorkin film. It's shot very differently. It's Aaron Sorkin movies are usually about like one person, not a bunch of people.
What are some of the films Aaron Sorkin's done? Just to jog my
Aaron Sorkin is not a director. Well, he is a director. He's done 2 movies, but he wrote a lot of movies like The Social Network, Moneyball, Steve Jobs. He created The West Wing.
Oh, he did. Okay. What was that? Did he do that movie Her with Joaquin?
No, that's Spike Jonze.
Spike Jonze?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Got it. Okay, so I know of some of his movies. I've seen a lot of those. I didn't know he did West Wing either. That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, it has to be specifically the content Aaron Sorkin's actual scripts. LOL. This guy doesn't know anything. That is harsh. Don't listen. Harvey Picar, he's in a lot of the other live streams I watch on YouTube. He's a character in the comics community. He talks like this to everyone. So don't take it personally.
I'm not taking it seriously.
Don't he likes to stir up trouble too, and in a lighthearted way. He's just having fun.
No, I hold by my statement. It is not an Aaron Sorkin movie.
Well,
go watch some Aaron Sorkin movies. You go watch some Aaron Sorkin movies, and they will not be at all the same.
Okay, all right. And then he says, "Do you know what a vibe is?" Okay, Harvey Picar's ghost. We are going to ignore you for the time being until we talk about Saturday Night. Let's get back to a real pain. I will say my only maybe flaw with the movie was that it felt a little slow. It took a little while to pick up. I felt like we really just sit with these characters throughout the entire film. Like there's not a whole lot that happens besides like the change in scenery throughout the film. With them being in Poland and whatnot. I found that interesting, and how they're there because of their grandmother and both their relationships with their grandmother and her legacy and whatnot. I found that all interesting. I think it has a lot of interesting themes with this movie and whatnot, but I do feel like it was a little slow. and it's a short runtime. I think it's maybe only an hour and a half, but you definitely feel that runtime, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be kind of my only gripe with the movie. What about you? Do you have anything
I
that
didn't
kind of sticks
really
out to you?
I didn't really get bothered by the runtime. I
Mhm.
guess I thought that like I don't mind when a movie's a little bit plotless in some
Okay.
ways.
Yeah, that's fair.
As long as the characters are interesting and the story is changing still.
Yeah,
Um,
because I
yeah,
do think, and sorry to interrupt you, but kind
no,
of
you're good.
adding and piggybacking off what you're saying, um, the characters really drive the plot of this movie. They
Yeah,
make up for the movie entirely. Like the plot is somewhat interesting, right? They go to Poland to visit where their grandmother lived and whatnot. And so that concept's interesting. That idea, I like that. But to me, what really makes the movie special is the relationship between the cousins, the
mhm.
two main characters, and I think each of them are different and unique in their own ways, and that's what makes the movie for me personally. So, sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it would not be the same if it wasn't those characters. It's a little like that movie, you know,
Yeah.
those before movies,
What movies?
the before trilogy, like before sunset, before sunrise. No, it's
Is
before
that with
sunrise.
Ethan Hawke?
Yeah, it's those movies.
I know all of them. I haven't seen them though, but yes, I
So
know
I've
all of
seen the
them.
first one, and it's a little like that, where it's two
Okay,
people kind of talking, and that's the movie, you know,
right.
and you just learn about them. And I don't mind that, and but I do think it only really works for travel movies, you know, because the location's changing, and there's stuff to look at, and it allows these characters to like interact in new environments, which usually lead to discovering more about the characters. So yeah, I guess I didn't mind it in that way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that where the when you have a movie that really focuses on a character, when you have the plot be kind of like a travel movie, I feel like you can almost lean on the fact that it's a travel movie to use that as a crutch to move the story along, you know?
Mhm.
Because right away we know it's a travel movie. They're going to Poland, they're going to travel Poland, right? So we
Yeah.
kind of expect, and we ultimately know what their end game is to get to the grandmother's house. So it does kind of lay out a roadmap of the movie, and it follows the roadmap. Um, so that is interesting how it's the plot almost takes a bit of a beeline compared to the dialogue and deeper dive into the characters themselves. And
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, I don't think the plot is anything amazing, but I think it works. Not I don't think it's bad or anything. But yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought
Yeah,
about that.
it's like the plot is they're going to their grandmother's blah blah blah, but the
Yeah,
story is these cousins like reunite and sort of face certain issues that they've clearly been dodging for a while.
yeah, they have a. I think they both have a lot of things to get off their chest with one
Yeah,
another. You know, one kind
uh,
of feels abandoned. One feels like,
being weighed down.
a little bit. Feeling like this guy's a real pain.
Yeah, yeah. It's an
You know,
aptly titled movie.
all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. I think that's interesting though. I will also say too, I noticed the cinematography, I feel like in this movie, there were some beautiful shots
Yeah. No, it
of
really was.
just the
It didn't feel
scenery
forced.
yeah, and the buildings. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this.
Yeah. No,
And
I fully
it's
agree.
yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just kind of some like establishing shots and whatnot, but there's some really well laid out shots here of the cities they visit and Poland in general. I thought it was great. So that was a pleasant surprise when I saw how great the cinematography really was.
Mhm.
And this movie's not nominated for Best Picture, I don't believe. I guess makes sense. I mean, personally, from what I hear about Emily Perez, I feel like maybe this should have taken a spot of Emily Perez. It's our original plan was to watch Emily Perez and then also Wicked for this show. But Wicked is like $20 to rent. You've already seen it, but I was like, I'm not renting Wicked for $20.
Yeah.
Nobody else in my family wants to watch it either, so it's like I can't. I'm not going to get anyone on board to watch it. So I was like, we'll just have to do something else. But we were still going to plan on watching Emily Perez. But yesterday we were like, we still haven't watched it.
It's just like,
let's do something else. You know, let's
Yeah.
talk about something else we like.
well, I
and,
actually,
yeah.
I saw one of the clips from the movie, like of this song, and it was
Oh
like,
my god.
it was laughable. It was laughable.
I think
it was.
I think I know what scene you're talking about. There's one in particular that's been like floating around the internet ever since it was nominated, and yeah, it's bad. It looks awful. And
I like Zoe Saldana. I think she's a good
Yeah.
actress.
yeah, no, I do too. And I know Selena Gomez, I think, is in that movie too. She plays some sort
Yeah,
of
I think
side
so.
character. But that song is like, what were they thinking with
Yeah,
that?
I
Like,
know.
what is this?
And then you just
So-
hear that the French
know.
director was saying that like he doesn't need to learn more about Mexican culture to do the movie, and it was like, well, why would you ever say something like that? I mean,
That's a fair point. That you
like
bring
there's
up.
not a drug problem in France that you can make this movie about.
True.
So,
True. I don't know. I think I don't know. Anyhow, Emily Perez, I don't think we're gonna watch it.
especially because there's
Anyway.
like apparently there's no Mexicans in it.
That's an interesting choice for the
Because apparently they couldn't find
directors.
good enough actors, in their own words.
Wow. That's interesting. I don't know. We'll use that as like a last resort. But like we need to watch something.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll have to like just stick through it, I guess. I don't know. Anyhow, back to A Real Pain. I do recommend everyone watch this. It's on Hulu. I enjoyed it overall. I think Jesse Eisenberg is great in it. Kieran Gillen. No, that's not his name. What's his name?
Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, he's the brother
Got it.
of Home Alone.
Yeah. Kieran Gillen is a comic book writer. Anyhow, yeah, I think he's great in it. I think it's a solid film, and it studies relationships, family relationships, and how taxing I think that can be sometimes, but ultimately how much it's worth it at the end of the day, you know.
Mhm.
So I think it's a good movie. I recommend it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Cool. Anything else to add on a Real Pain before we move on to Saturday Night?
Just that I really appreciate that there's like, the same year you can have a movie like Dune, which is such a big spectacle, and then you can also have like a movie like this, which is a much smaller film. And
Yeah,
I'm very appreciative that those kind of movies still get made.
me too. I agree with you because I think they both have a lot to offer. You know, they're
Yeah,
both unique
movies,
and
you
different.
can have a bunch of different
and,
types of movies.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we continue to see films like this that are smaller in a lot of ways. But yeah, I do recommend it. I think it's great. So let's
Let's
talk
let
a
this
little
guy
bit.
back in the let's let the guy back in the conversation. If we I want to hear what he's got to say.
He just commented this. I just went and plunged my head into a snowbank for a few minutes. So that's what he's got to say, I guess. RVP
It's not
card,
saying
let us
much
know.
if your head's in a snowbank.
I don't know. We're gonna start talking about Saturday Night now. So I watched this previous Saturday night. I watched it actually, and I thought it was pretty good. It was on Netflix. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna watch this. Check it out. I'm not a huge Saturday Night Live fan. I I think I would have been if if I was around when this first started and kind of the height of it. I think I definitely would have been. Now I think Saturday Night Live is not that great. Should have probably ended like a long time ago. But this movie, I thought it was good. I really like how it all takes place just on the night that the first episode premiered. And I'm sure a lot of what happens is exaggerated. I'm sure it wasn't this chaotic, but I think it works. It's really like nonstop. It's go, 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 go. And it felt very fast paced. I didn't really feel like the runtime at all. Maybe like a couple times, but I do think it was just like on to the next, on to the next. What's going to go wrong? What's happening? And so I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I think all the actors and actresses did a great job.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know, the only one I can remember his name is Dylan O'Brien, I think, who played
Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Yes.
Yeah, I thought he was really good.
I think he was the best one. I think I was like, oh, that's Dan Aykroyd for sure. I think the guy that did Chevy Chase was good too.
Yeah, I thought he was really good.
He had the same I don't know, personality. It felt like Chevy Chase, even though I feel like they kind of looked not too much alike, but it still felt like Chevy Chase. And who else? You had who's the bigger guy?
John Belushi.
Yes. I thought his actor did an okay job.
Yeah, he didn't get much screen time from what I remember.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
I thought the guy who played Garrett Morris was quite good.
Who's Garrett Morris? Is that the Muppets guy?
No, he's the guy who makes that he sings that song toward the end of it.
Oh, okay.
He's the black guy. Yeah, he was the first black member on SNL and the only for that year. Yeah, no, I thought everyone was good. I guess you can't give. I am scarred by that J.K. Simmons scene.
Oh, I know.
A little
that
bit,
was like, out of left field. I'm like, what the? Frick?
Yeah, I could not believe what I was watching.
I felt violated when I watched that.
Yeah.
I was like, holy.
I looked
smokes.
right to my friend and I said, I feel violated.
Yeah, holy. Yeah, that was intense, that scene. Yeah, that was a lot. I did like J.K. Simmons in the role though. He really did a good job. William Dafoe, I think the cast all around is great.
Willem Dafoe. It's nice to see him in something like that.
Yeah, I don't really think there's like a weak link. I think the guy who played Lorne Michaels did a good job,
Yeah, he was really good.
The actress who played his wife did a good job. The guy who is from Succession, I can't remember his name. He played Greg from Succession. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I think
he plays
Nick
two
something.
people.
He does. He plays the Muppets guy, and then he also plays
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a really good job in both roles. I
did too.
I thought he did a really good job. I don't know much about either of those guys, to be honest. I know Andy Kaufman. He's somewhat of a legend. He always kind of has been, I feel like. And he has a biopic with Jim Carrey in it and a documentary about the making of that film. I haven't seen either, but I do kind of want to watch those. And I don't know much about the Muppets guy, to be honest, but I thought he did a great job in those roles. I really, like I said, I like how fast paced it is. And just how nonstop it felt. Like the film really did not give you a moments to breathe. It felt like we were with Lorne Michaels trying to get this thing off the ground for air at 11:30. Yeah, it was a lot, but it was really good. I don't think it was as funny. Like, it didn't really come off as a comedy to me. Like, there were comedy elements, but it was not necessarily like laugh out loud funny for me.
Well, I don't think SNL behind the scenes is very funny. I think you have you're making jokes, but I think it's a pretty stressful environment. That's why I like the movie. I thought I thought it actually captured the SNL vibe quite well. I mean, to the Aaron Sorkin point, like I kind of get where he's coming from with that. Like, there's
Oh,
there
see,
is definitely
you
so
agree with
no, no,
Harvey
hold on, hold
Picar's
on, hold on.
Ghost?
The only thing I'm saying is that I get where he's coming from in that there's like a rushed feeling in some Aaron Sorkin things. I totally get that. I just don't think it's a valid comparison because you're doing a movie about SNL, which that kind of thing is going to happen. So comparing them is a little bit like, it doesn't really quite work in my opinion.
Got it.
But
It's almost like happenstance. Like
yeah,
this movie
it's
about
like okay, yeah, I
SNL is
guess
going
if
to
you're
be. Yeah, I see what you're
yeah.
saying. I see what
So
you're saying.
but I actually one thing that's quite interesting about the film is that it's directed by Jason Reitman, who did like Up in the Air and Juno, and his father was the director of like Ghostbusters
Yeah,
and
yeah,
things like that with a lot of SNL people. So Jason
right.
Reitman actually knows a lot of SNL alums. So it's a pretty
He's in that
accurate
circle.
film.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's pretty
yeah.
much like he grew up going to see SNL like behind the scenes.
That's got to be cool.
Yeah, so
Got to
it's
be
a
cool.
pretty close uh, uh depiction.
I bet. Yeah, I think it. I think it captured what it would have felt like being behind the scenes of early SNL and maybe even today's SNL. Who knows how chaotic it can
Mhm.
be? I'm sure. Um, so I think it succeeded in that regards, and um, yeah, I thought it was just a in your face movie the entire way through of just things going wrong and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, I feel like there wasn't too much emotional depth with the movie really at all. I mean, we really only got that with Lauren Michaels, who is the main character and whatnot. But even with him, I feel like there was not much emotion there. You know, you were
Mhm.
kind of rooting for him in some regards because it did seem like he was definitely the underdog when it came to that. But like I said, there you you know how it's going to play out, right? We know SNL is
Yeah,
one of the most famous and most successful comedy sketch shows or skit shows, whatever, ever, right? So we kind of knew the end result. So I don't know. There wasn't much emotional depth, but ultimately, I don't know if that's necessarily what they were going for either, because you do have so many cast of characters. It's really, it's just like a juggling act the entire time. I'm sure with the screenwriters and
yeah,
and whatnot. So I felt like it succeeded in a lot of ways,
yeah.
but
I did
at the
too,
same,
and I was skeptical when it was happening because it was like, I like the director,
sure,
but this could go very wrong. And I thought it actually is like by the minute. The
yeah,
movie is about 90 minutes and it covers
right,
90 minutes. So
yeah,
that's kind of a cool idea. And
yeah,
the
I
movie
like that.
also kind of talks about like something that is interesting in that like SNL is such a major thing. Like everyone knows SNL. You don't even have to see SNL and you know what SNL is. And like it's kind of interesting to see like to focus on a time when just to acknowledge that this is like a moment when SNL doesn't exist yet, you
Right.
know. So that is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, and we see with the studio executives how Johnny Carson, he was the
Yeah.
uh, head of
Uh,
honcho, oh,
uh,
and how the executives really did not believe in Lauren Michaels to
yeah.
to make a good show, right? And it kind of makes sense why they didn't. It seems like he was not a super effective communicator when trying to express like what the show is. That line comes up a lot. And maybe it's because he really wasn't sure what the show was yet. I'm not too sure. But yeah, you can grab
Is
your
that cool?
charger.
Okay. Cool, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Aiden needs to go grab his charger real quick. Harvey Picar's Ghost. Let's address you real quick. Chevy Chase told the director, "You should be embarrassed after he saw the movie." Is that true, or are you making that up? I don't doubt it necessarily. The whole concept and existence of the movie is the weak link. I would disagree. I agree. It felt like an episode of The West Wing or The Newsroom if it was about SNL. Okay. Literally, the whole movie was a walk and talk. I agree. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though. I think I think that works in its favor. To be honest with you, there's a number of other ways to do this, including not doing it at all. No, I mean, I think a movie about SNL was destined to happen at some point. It just makes sense. And I
Well, that's a
think,
terrible position. Like, just don't do the movie. I mean, it's better
yeah,
than not doing a movie.
I agree, and I think it's an interesting approach. You know, they didn't necessarily just do like a regular biopic, I guess, of Lauren Michaels. You know, they really did do an interesting thing with it being the 90 minutes leading up to the first episode. I thought that was an interesting concept and unique. You guys don't even know who Jim Henson is.
Yeah, he's the Muppets guy, right?
He is the Muppets guy, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. I don't. I'm sorry.
Because I'm not into the Muppets.
Me neither. Nothing against them. I do like Kermit as an icon. I think he's a cool character. Anyhow, this movie, he says this is a movie that shouldn't exist. That is insane to me.
There are movies that shouldn't exist. This is not one of them. You don't make that's what an opinion is.
Yeah, I agree. I think this movie should exist. It's better to make a bad movie than not to make a bad movie. Okay, great point. I don't know. I see what you're trying to say,
That's
Harvey.
not what I said, but
yeah, no, that's not what you said. You said, yeah. Anyhow, I do kind of see what you're trying to say, Harvey, but I don't agree with it. Well, I don't know.
it's a little bit of a hater's position. Go make a movie. Go make a movie, and then you can say that.
I think Harvey he's really known in the comic book community on the YouTube, and he's kind of known as a hater and whatnot.
Harvey the hater.
He's a nice guy though. He's just crazy.
Sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, he's just a crazy dude because I'm not into the Muppets. That's true. I'm right there with him. I'm not into the Muppets.
Well, I did say that. I didn't say the first quote that you said. You're getting confused. You're getting a little confused.
Okay, let's go back to this. It's better to make a bad movie than not to make a bad movie. Is that what you said?
That's not what I said.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Harvey says, I'm absolutely not a hater. Harvey, you're a hater. Okay, just admit it. You're a hater, dude. All right, nothing wrong with it. You're a hater. Anyhow, let's get back on track a little bit before Harvey starts to spam the chat again. Is this based on a book or anything? Was there a book written about SNL?
I'm sure, but I don't know if it was based on a book.
I don't think it was. I could be wrong. I'm sure there's been plenty of books about SNL and whatnot.
I really thought the guy who played Chevy Chase was great, though. I think Chevy
so
Chase
too.
is such an asshole. So to see, and he kind of humanized him
a little bit.
Kind of made me understand why Chevy Chase is such an asshole.
I suppose. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I mean, it is. I'm sure maybe Chevy Chase, the actual Chevy Chase, as Harvey says, where was it? Chevy Chase told the director, "You should be embarrassed" after he saw the movie. If that's true, I don't know.
Chevy Chase is an asshole.
That, and he also, there was a scene with J.K. Simmons where J.K. Simmons' character just ruins his day, just destroys him. So I don't know if Chevy Chase, the real life Chevy Chase, like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyhow, yeah, I think all the actors did a great job. I really do. Yeah, I really think Dylan O'Brien did the best job as Dana Aykroyd.
He made me laugh. He made me really laugh.
He had a couple lines that made me laugh. Yeah, I think his performance was by far the best. I definitely saw Dana Aykroyd within his performance. Not that I didn't see the other characters or the other real life people in the other performances, but I think Dana Aykroyd was probably the strongest performance for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Harvey Picar's ghost in all caps, right? Which means he's yelling this, which is Harvey Picar's ghost. You do not need to yell, dude.
The
Anyhow,
only member of
the
SNL that was
only
there.
member of SNL that was there has commented was Chevy Chase, and he thought it was an embarrassment of a film.
That's
I think
actually not true at all. Dan Aykroyd has said that he liked the film very much.
oh,
So check your
maybe with the
facts.
doubted words. Disliking something equals being a hater. Yeah,
Well, when you
I
hate
think
it
so.
unnecessarily, yeah.
I think so, a little bit. All right, we got Brother John Comics. What's good, fellas? Agreed. O'Brien was great. Yes, I agree. I hope you're doing well, Brother John Comics. Yeah, I think his performance was probably the standout for me, like I said. But I do think all the other performances were great. His was definitely the one that stood out. So yeah, Dan Aykroyd, he commented on the film, you said, and said it was
Yeah.
accurate.
He liked it. He liked it. And he and Jason Reitman are like, he's friends with Jason Reitman.
Yeah,
You know who's not friends with Jason Reitman is Chevy Chase.
I guess so. I mean, I think Chevy Chase, he's known to be a bit of a diva, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, a bit of an asshole. And here I think we kind of see that in the actual film with him being kind of a prick. You know,
I was surprised that he didn't like it though, because I did hear him say that, and I thought like this movie actually humanizes you in some way. So
I don't
if
know
you
if I don't know if it
it,
humanizes him too much. Like it seems like he is in the movie, like the character of Chevy Chase. It seems like he does have this kind of persona of like this hot shot new stud, and he's like, oh, I got tapped to be the next Johnny Carson, and
yeah,
so
I guess if I think
it seems
about
like he's a
could be
bit of a
right, yeah.
hothead and kind of full of himself.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that.
So maybe I'm misremembering here, but I don't think we ever really got much of it, like his backstory, or really any of the SNL characters' backstory, or really any character's backstory. Maybe besides Lorne Michaels, a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know if it humanizes him too much, because he does come off like a prick still in the film a bit. So I don't know. If you don't like something I like, then sentence
If you don't
doesn't
like
make sense.
something I like, then it's unwarranted. Oh, if you don't like something I like, well, you need to put a comma in there. But if you don't like it, something okay, that's unwarranted hate.
Okay, Harvey Picar's ghost. You gotta like slow
What is he
down when you
talking
type a
about?
little, man.
Is he
Anyhow,
quoting
Brother
me?
John Comics. I don't know who knows. Chase really didn't like the Milton Berle interaction as it was portrayed. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I could see why maybe Chevy Chase didn't love that scene in particular.
But I don't really like in those kind of situations, if an actor is complaining how they're portrayed, I don't really take it that seriously unless it's totally false.
Yeah. I guess
it's usually just an ego being hurt.
True. For sure. No, I agree with you there. Obviously, being friends with Jason Reitman and his dad means he publicly admitted he doesn't like it, right? LOL. The whole movie was insanely inaccurate. Oh, Harvey Picar's ghost. Were you there that night? Were you?
I really don't.
Were you
think
there
that you
the
can
first
say
night
that.
of the first night of SNL? And tell us more. You want to call in and tell us about the experience?
Is that your actual picture? Are you that old?
No, that's Harvey Picar.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how old Harvey Picar's ghost is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else there is too much to. I don't know what else there's to say about this movie other than kind of what we.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of that is one of its flaws. Is that like I saw a lot of movies last year, and I enjoyed that one a lot. It was not one that like I thought about quite as much.
Yeah.
It's definitely like it's entertaining. I think it's really well done.
Right.
But I don't know. It's not. It's it didn't get nominated for anything. I don't think it's like this amazing movie.
No, I think it's a fun film to watch though. When you're on a Saturday night. I think it's a fun film. I think it's a fun film to turn on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be like
Um,
a good movie for people to watch.
yeah, no, I agree. I
Like
agree
like
for sure.
together, you know.
All right, Harvey P. Cars goes, just dismissing every critique I have offhand is amazing. Well, Harvey P. Cars Ghost, you're not given I feel like your critiques are not that good. I feel
Yeah.
like, you know,
Sorry.
you're saying like very blanket statements like, oh, this film's trash. Oh, that's a great criticism. You know, like, so I don't know. But I appreciate your comments and input regardless. I clearly know where you stand on this film.
I'd like to
You
hear
guys, go ahead.
well, I'd like to hear like a specific thing that he doesn't like about the film. Like, what about the film? Because also, a movie does not have to be accurate to be a good movie. So, what
That's
about the
true.
actual film is bad?
That's true. Yeah, Harvey P. Cars Ghost. Let us know.
And I actually do know quite a
specific-
lot about SNL.
Yeah,
I actually do.
He's a New Yorker, man. He knows. I mean, I'm technically a New Yorker, but you know, you're from the city. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just doxed you. I did not mean to do that.
No, you're
The city's a big place, so I think you're okay.
yeah.
Anyhow, Harvey P. Cars Ghost. You guys admit to hardly knowing anything about the subject, but yeah, I'm probably wrong.
He's probably like typing right now, just like
I can't even fathom wanting to defend this piece of shit movie this
but you-
much.
okay.
That seems.
Well,
see,
how about you
see, that's
fathom
like a
critiquing the movie properly?
that's like a blanket statement that I'm talking about, where it's like that's not. You're just being a hater of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
and if you hate the movie, that's okay, right? But
Yeah, no,
you
no
need to
one's
back it up.
I just want to hear something about the actual film that's bad.
Yeah, that would be a good point. If I had said that, go back and reread all the things I disliked. All of it's still there. All right, let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. SNL movie stunk. Oh, okay. I guess this is somewhat of a critique, but okay. Here's all right. None of it seemed realistic. All right, that's a critique. I stand somewhat corrected. Just playing bad impressions. So it seems like he does not think it's a fair portrayal, or it's a fair depiction of the SNL first night SNL, whatever. So,
Well, I mean, he got to talk to the people who were there, and so I think that's.
I mean,
better.
listen, I'm sure a lot of it is exaggerated. Like, and I think I said that at the very beginning. Like, I can't imagine that everything what happened in this film happened the night of SNL, right? Like, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but it makes for a good movie, you know. And kind of what you said, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be true to be a good movie, right?
Yeah, you can take that's where the creative liberties come in. You know, you
Absolutely.
can change some things.
And you know, I do think there's an argument to be made, like how much creative liberty you should take, and when you're doing a nonfiction movie that's based on real life and real people are involved, how much fictional elements you should throw in there. I think that is a conversation to be had, and I think it's all subjective, really, on the subject matter. You know,
Mhm.
but
Also,
here I
I
think,
just wanted to point
yeah,
out one thing to his comment about me saying, it's better to make a bad movie than a movie, something like that. I mean, in the sense of it's not a crime to try to make a good. So a movie can turn out to be bad, and it is not a crime. That's what I meant by that comment.
well, thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Hopefully, that answers some.
He's typing away right now angrily, ears steaming.
I don't know. Maybe you guys made blanket
3
dismissals of
seconds.
all my
Something's gonna come up
actual
in 3
points.
seconds.
Why bother? Sorry, guys. Didn't know you weren't into a back and forth discussion. We are, Harvey, but you just got to give us better. I guess your biggest critique, from what I gather, is that you thought it was not a fair depiction of the events that actually happened, and you think it's untrue and whatnot, and all fictional, I guess. Okay, it's not a crime to try to make a movie and have it be bad, but it's also not a crime to critique
No,
a
that's
bad
true.
movie.
That's true. Just
No,
critique
dude,
the
listen,
movie
if you did not
properly.
like the movie, that's totally cool. But like, yeah, whatever, Um, I'm open to discussions, but you are kind of making some blanket statements and getting a little, I don't know, chaotic when it comes to some of your comments.
I mean,
Okay. I mean, to say it's not at all the vibe of an Aaron Sorkin work is pure insanity. How does one continue having a real discussion after something? I listen, I don't agree with you here, Harvey P. Cars Ghost. I don't know. Yeah. And Aiden did add to that. He did add to that in saying that he sees where you're coming from with how it's edited together and whatnot. But I think we both ultimately determined that that's more so happenstance than a creative choice on the director's behalf. That would be my take on it.
there's not many ways to shoot chaotic work environments either, where there's a lot of people. So you can't really like,
True.
it's like saying The Office and Parks and Rec are the same exact show. Like they're not.
Right.
They're just shot similarly.
Right. I see what you're saying. Brother John Comics, SNL cast members were hired because of the personalities. The actors were playing to the personalities of those people. I'm sure it has inaccuracies and generalities, but Reitman had way more access. That's a good point. I do agree with that.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
The info that we did, and it's just adding on. So not sure how we can say it's inaccurate. That's kind of my point too.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you, Brother John Comics. Thank you.
yes, yeah, and I don't mean to dogpile on Harvey P. Cars Ghost at all because I do appreciate your input here, Harvey P. Cars Ghost, but it just seems like you are so set in your ways of it being inaccurate. But at the end of the
Sorry, I
day,
can't stop laughing at this. This is too funny.
whether it's
He's getting
happenstance or
so.
not is either near here nor there. The fact remains that it is the vibe. Okay, all right, that's fair. It just seems like you were like saying it's a ripoff of the Aaron Sorkin vibe. That was my take on it. So let's see. Sorkin did his take with Studio 60, and this film is vastly different from that. I have not heard of Studio
That's
60.
very true. That's very true.
What's
Yeah, that's a
Studio
show he
60?
did with Matthew Perry.
Okay. And is that what's it about? Is it about
It's about like a new. I think it's about like a news show, but it might be.
Okay, but
I believe so.
similar thing kind of where it's a
Yeah, no, he's very right on that.
film. Yeah, got it. The very idea that a person would think a movie, let alone one of this length, could properly capture what was happening is just ridiculous. It shouldn't even exist.
But it's the length of the amount of time. Okay, all right.
Harvey Picar's Ghost. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think saying it shouldn't even exist is just crazy to me, to be honest. I can understand what you're saying, when it comes to like Chevy Chase not liking the movie and him saying it's inaccurate, and you think like, oh, that's not a good thing for this film. I don't like that about it. I can understand that, but saying this movie just shouldn't exist entirely is just crazy to me. I don't know. That just seems so. I don't know. And maybe that's just kind of where we draw the line in the sand when it comes to that, because it seems like you have your own kind of belief when it comes to this sort of thing.
Well, the crazy thing is that you don't have to see the movie. That's the crazy thing. So a movie can exist and you don't have to see it.
I kind of get the vibe that Harvey P. Cars Ghost is an SNL fan, and he was really looking forward to this movie and saw it and was super let down by it for some reason.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've been kind of getting from his comments is just that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Are you guys insane people? I don't think so, man. Brother John Comics. It was literally an SNL analog. I'm not sure. What is that?
Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, what an analog? What is that? Do we know or no?
I don't know. He might not. He might be typing.
Okay. All right, Brother John Comics. Oh, wait, he has another comment. It's not a history of SNL. It's a snapshot of just the
Thank
night
you.
leading up to the premiere. It's a moment in time, not a detailed doc. Yes, it's exactly.
Yes.
It's like a super short and sweet memoir almost, you know?
Yeah. You know who I liked in the film too was what was this? A completely fictional TV show that. Is
What
that from like my comment 5 minutes ago?
I think that's from the Studio 60 comparison.
Oh.
Well, we're just bringing up that Aaron Sorkin did a similar show like this, where it's kind of set in a TV studio. You know, that's the setting of the
Yeah.
show, and he did it differently from what we're seeing here. So to compare it to, an Andy Sorkin kind of ripoff or whatever, just seems to be a little unfair.
But I thought that the guy who played George Carlin was great.
Oh yeah, Matthew something, right?
Matthew Rhys, yeah, he's Welsh.
Yes.
But I
What's
thought he
that?
was great. He's a Welsh actor.
I really like it. Matthew, what was his name?
Matthew
Rhys?
Rhys, yeah. The
He's in the
Americans.
Americans.
Oh, such a good show.
Yes.
Such a good show.
He was in the Mr. Rogers movie with Tom Hanks
Yeah.
a few years ago. That was pretty good. I like that actor a lot.
Me
I
too.
really do. Trying to think what else. I think this is a total sidebar, and he would have made for a great Mr. Fantastic, I think. And I think he should have been the Mr. Fantastic of the MCU.
Yeah.
He definitely has that persona a little bit where he can be a little cocky, and we see it here where he kind of comes off like a douchebag, right? And he's very full of himself, and that's kind of what Reed Richards is.
I don't really get why Pedro Pascal is.
I don't either. I think it's I don't know. I'm not gonna. I like Pedro Pascal. I think you do too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna dismiss it or anything, but I think it's a very bold choice for them to cast Pedro, because Pedro is like so charming and so nice and just lovable, and Reed Richards is really not that character in the comics in a lot of respect. You know, he has elements of that, right? You know, he is a father, but you know, he really is he comes off as a kind of a cult scientist in the comics a lot of the times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, or like Dennis from It's Always Sunny, Glenn.
Yeah, I kind of wanted. I thought he
really wanted that casting.
Yeah.
Adam Driver too was in the running at one point. I think Adam Driver would have done a good job.
Yeah,
sure.
there was some
different look of the character, but I think he would have done a good job.
Yeah.
Okay, let's catch up on the comments here. The characters weren't playing the people in real life, which is what they were supposedly depicting.
Well, they are characters who are preparing to do a performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those guys are similar to their on-screen counterparts. You know, like
yeah,
I do. You know, so to think that they would be not similar to what they were on SNL, I don't know. It just seems strange to me. They were playing to people as if their on-air personalities, which doesn't make sense. See, this is kind of what I was just trying to say here. I do think a lot of those people, they were their on-air personalities. There was not much difference between the off-air and on-air. Like, it was very much the same. And that's kind of my take on it. So I'm not too sure. I don't have to see the movie, ? Then how would I know if it's good? How is a person supposed to even respond to that? Okay, so I think it's safe to say
that he's nitpicking.
Seeing the movie. Okay. Studio 60 was just a making of an SNL type show, is what I meant. An analog. I see. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Awesome. The idea that this being Sorkin-esque is even an argument is nuts.
You're the one saying it's Sorkin-esque.
That's yes. So, because that's your entire argument, that you're saying it's a knockoff Sorkin-esque.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not laughing.
What do you mean?
I'm not laughing.
And then he says, "I feel like I'm being gaslit." I'm sorry that you feel that way. We're not trying to gaslight you, man. we're not. So I do apologize. I don't want you to feel like you're getting gaslit. I thought you were the one comparing it to Sorkin 5. If I misunderstood, I apologize.
No, you didn't
No,
misunderstand.
That's what he was. I am comparing it as Sorkin-esque. Okay, let's go back. The idea that this being Sorkin-esque is even an argument is nuts. What? What?
Do you mean
Am I-
isn't being
Am I
Sorkin-esque?
totally misunderstanding this?
I think he meant
Because-
to type isn't being Sorkin-esque.
Okay, all right. Elaborate Harvey Picar's Ghost if you meant to say that this isn't. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt right now before I talk more about that. Which it absolutely is. I didn't expect it to be a controversial statement or even go beyond 2 seconds of discussion. Okay, I suppose that's fair, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's controversial. I don't know. They absolutely aren't that similar to on-screen counterparts. Okay, all right.
Well, on that point, I think there are different. I think these are people preparing for a performance, so you are going to see blends of their personalities and their on-screen personalities. But I get what he's saying in that. But I didn't think that they were. I didn't think Garrett Morris was what he was like on the show.
Right.
You know, I don't think that's really true. I don't think a lot of the characters are acting exactly like how they acted on TV. I mean, have you seen SNL? It's not a very realistic depiction of life.
Right. No, not at all. I didn't mean to type anything. You meant to understand it correctly, I assume. But you didn't, which is fine. Okay. All right, Harvey Picar's Ghost. I think I don't know what to think anymore, man.
Yeah, I'm
confused. Are you comparing it to Sorkin-esque? You have to be, because you said right here, I'm comparing it to Sorkin-esque, which it absolutely is. I don't think that's a controversial thing, but you were kind of bashing it for being a Sorkin-esque, it seemed like. And that's where I think we kind of were like, what's going on here?
And all I said was, I don't think it's Sorkin-esque.
Right. But then, you know, even you said you can kind of see where Harvey Picar's Ghost could think that.
Right? Yeah. But no, I see where he's coming from.
But then we counter it with Brother John's comment about Studio 60, how that was an Andy Sorkin project that was very similar to SNL in a lot of ways. Not the actual show, but this movie of it, you know, being a show about a show. So
like SNL, don't get me wrong. I think Aaron Sorkin could have done an SNL movie.
Oh, like, yeah, sure.
I bet that was probably in the works at some point. But they're just because they're done in slightly similar ways does not mean you can call it a Sorkin-esque movie, in my opinion.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. Completely fair. It's a large cast with a lot of movement in how it is shot, but the dialogue is nowhere near as sophisticated as Sorkin makes his, in my opinion.
Okay, so I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, from the movies you were listing that are Sorkin's, yeah, I would agree with that too.
Aaron Sorkin can definitely be a little bit like heavy-handed on his dialogue, and you know, it's very clear what his political opinion is, which can be good, but not always.
Sure. No, yeah, I agree. It shouldn't be controversial that it is Sorkin-esque, but the point is that using the tired walk and talk technique is played out. Okay, so that's a fair critique. I would disagree, though. I think here the walk and talk technique works beautifully with this setup in this concept for a film, the dialogue and the story. I think you need that walk and talk. So I understand where you're coming from, but I do disagree. I don't think it is necessarily.
The story requires certain things. Walking and talking is something that would happen on SNL.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I get where you're coming from, though, Harvey Picar's Ghost. And I also don't think it's controversial to say that it's Sorkin-esque either. I don't think that is. But it seems like you were bashing the film for being Sorkin-esque.
Maybe it's my fault because I got a little bit like saying it's not Sorkin-esque. Just my opinion. Didn't mean to spring a whole debate.
Your third comment, I low Aaron. Is that supposed to say Andy
A low rent
Sorkin?
Aaron Sorkin vibe. No, his name is Aaron Sorkin. A
Oh,
low
I was
rent
saying
Aaron,
Andy. My bad.
a low rent Aaron Sorkin vibe. The whole film. Um, I
See, I
don't
think
agree with
maybe
that.
that's more. You were using that as like a hit at the movie, and I don't know if you compare it to a Sorkin vibe. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, right? But that I don't know. That's just me.
If it was an Aaron Sorkin thing, in my opinion, I feel like it would have had a harder stance on certain issues or certain things.
Right. Well, it's not a very deep movie. You know,
Saying
it's very
something
lighthearted.
done in a slightly
Saying something is
way.
done in a slightly similar way is exactly when you should say it is something like Sorkin-esque. I don't think you guys are as clear on what words
Okay, but you're
mean
saying
as I am.
Sorkin-esque like it's a ripoff of Sorkin. That's what you mean by low rent Sorkin-esque. You could
Yes.
say it is inspired by a Sorkin thing, or it has Sorkin vibes to it, or I guess maybe he did say that. But I don't think calling it a low rent Sorkin-esque movie
Well, I
is
think that's I don't think the comparison to it being a Sorkin movie is bad or controversial. Like we don't think that Harvey P. Card's Ghost. So I don't know. I think that's fine to say, hey, I thought it was a little Sorkin-esque, you
but
know,
it's
and
certainly not a bad movie because it's a little
right.
Sorkin-esque.
And that's
Not that
kind of
I
what I'm
think it
trying to get at
is.
as well. I
Yeah.
don't think that it being Sorkin-esque inherently makes it a bad film. That's what I'm thinking. Sorkin literally built the walk and talk idea based on watching how frantic things moved backstage at SNL. Is that true? That is
Probably.
interesting.
Probably.
That is interesting if that is true, Brother John Comics.
Logic drop.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wow. So after
Wow.
all
So
of
after
that.
all this, we finally arrived at me being correct and
No,
saying
no,
it
no.
is
I said I
Sorkin-esque.
don't agree with it. I said I don't agree with it. I said
That's
that.
true.
Wow. So after all
And
this, we
I
finally.
said I don't know enough Sorkin movies to make that comparison.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
I don't think he's really
From what
holding a
I've
solid
learned about Aaron
argument.
Sorkin films and the ones I've seen, I can't see where you would make that comparison though. Harvey Picar's Ghost, and from what you said too, Aiden, I can see where you might feel like it is Sorkin-esque. So I get where you're coming from now, Harvey Picar's Ghost. When he did Sports Night, he said that SNL's backstage hectic nature was how he viewed how backstage at live shows were. That is
Wow,
interesting.
this
Okay.
guy's got some facts.
Yeah. Thanks for
Guy's
adding
got
that.
some facts.
I did not know that. Yes. My opinion is that it is a low rent version. That the idea that is Sorkin-esque or not wasn't even part of my actual critique. Okay.
All right, fine.
I
If this is where we can get to on
But
a
I feel like when
peaceful
you
ending,
add in low rent version of Sorkin-esque, that's part of your critique now.
yeah, low rent means worse.
And you can't say it's a low rent version of what, right? You got to say there has to be another statement to that, which is Sorkin.
Even when someone says it's just another version of this, it's usually a critique.
That's true. Yes.
You could say it had a Sorkin vibe, literally.
I don't know.
Is that what you said, or is he quoting you, Lucas, or is he quoting me?
I think maybe he's quoting you, but I can't remember. So we'll move on. It being a low rent version of that was one aspect of why I disliked the movie.
Okay. So what's another aspect?
That is fair, Harvey Picar's Ghost. Completely fair. I would disagree, though. I think even after kind of hearing your argument, Aiden, about it being kind of Aaron Sorkin-esque, I think I still think that's okay. I don't think that makes it bad. And I think that's kind of where we differ. You think that's makes the movie bad, Harvey Picar's Ghost. Aiden thinks it has to have a political monologue to be akin
To Aaron Sorkin at all.
It was the caps that threw me off. I was like, what? To Aaron Sorkin at all, despite admitting it is constantly a style that Sorkin is 100% known for. I don't know. I know you did mention monologue.
Yeah, I said that if it had a monologue, it would be more like Aaron Sorkin. But the only thing the movie shares with an Aaron Sorkin film is the walk
Just
and
the
talk
walk and talk.
vibe.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think I'm just another version, isn't what I said. No, I know you didn't say that. I said okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. I think
I have seen
I think
Birdman. I have seen
yes.
Birdman.
Is that another Sorkin movie?
No, it's not. But
Why do
you
you
might
bring
think
this
it
up
is.
then? I guess because it's okay. I see why he brought that up because that's kind of another backstage movie about a live performance. Okay, so I see why you
But he's not
brought that
saying.
up.
Are you saying that Birdman is like an Aaron Sorkin movie?
It shares the walk and talk vibe. Exactly what my point was. Okay. All right. I think we have a understanding of where each other is coming from. Hopefully, I don't know if I
I am
do,
curious.
but
Like, it's also if you want to get
yeah.
to
What was the comment about Birdman? RVP Cars Ghost. Just out of curiosity. Also, if you want to get technical, Thomas, I don't know how to say his last name.
Shalom, I guess.
Shalom. That sounds
Yeah.
wrong. Shalem. I don't know. I apologize. Came up with how to shoot a walk and talk because Sorkin was so dialogue heavy, but that's neither here nor there. That's an interesting point. Birdman does high energy walking and talking through small hallways, etc., but extremely well, and does not recall Sorkin whatsoever.
No, it's nothing like a Sorkin movie.
Okay.
It's the same thing as Saturday Night. It's like it has walk and talk, but it's
Yeah.
not really like a Sorkin movie.
Right.
And I'm not
Hence,
saying that Birdman and Saturday Night are the same movie either, just to get ahead of that, if that's what's coming.
Okay. He adds, hence, it is 100% possible to do, and it is unnecessary to miss. This as a criticism. Can't speak criticism solely because they had to do it that way. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Aiden?
I'm very lost. Hence, it is 100%.
I'm kind of getting lost too hard. I think we're getting too much into the weeds with this one.
Yeah,
I really do. I think
you have your opinion. We have ours.
yes.
It's
I understand where you're coming from, Harvey P. Karskovs, with your arguments, right? But I differ from it being a low rent version of an Aaron Sorkin film. I think after thinking about it and talking with the chat and you, Aiden, yeah, maybe it does pull a little bit from an Aaron Sorkin film with the walk and talk and whatnot. And he adds here, and it is unnecessary to dismiss this as a criticism solely because they had to do it that way. I don't know. I think we're getting too lost in the weeds here. I think the walk and talks in this film is effective, whether it pulls from a Aaron Sorkin film or not. It is kind of like why reinvent the wheel when it works this way, and it works in this environment and tone they set up in the film and the setting. Like it makes perfect sense why they would do the walk and talk and maybe pull a little bit from.
You know what I think he's saying? I think he's saying that I might be wrong. I feel like he's just trying to defend how like I think he feels like his opinion was attacked a little bit, but at the same time, all we're doing is just saying that it's not a worse movie.
Yeah. Okay. RVP Cars goes, I apologize if you feel attacked based off your opinion. I don't want that to be the case. We're not attacking you. I guess I'm just trying to get clarity on where your stance is coming from, because it seemed like you were attacking the film a little bit, which in my eyes seemed a little unwarranted because I did enjoy the film. Now, obviously, art is subjective. You did not enjoy the film. That's okay. But I think some of your criticisms seemed a little unwarranted in some ways. It's not a low rent version of a Sorkin film, which is why I didn't say it was. You guys made this a much bigger thing than it needed to be.
Now I'm really lost. I'm pretty sure he said it was a low rent Sorkin movie, right?
He said a low rent Sorkin vibe the whole film.
Oh,
so I guess he could. But what difference does that make? It's kind of the same thing. It's the same exact thing you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Anyhow, Harvey Picar's Ghost. We appreciate your input this episode. I don't want you to feel attacked. I just was trying to get more clarity on your stance of why you felt the way you felt about this film in some regard. That's all. So I do apologize if you felt attacked. Okay. Okay. All right. I guess that's fair. You thought, okay. All right.
You didn't like the movie. That's
You didn't
fine.
like the movie. That's that. I liked the movie. I thought it was decent.
I enjoyed it.
And you kind of said, Aiden, where, it didn't win any, or it's not nominated for any Oscars. And you kind of think like, maybe that's okay, fair and warranted. Like,
Yeah,
it's not that
like
great,
yeah.
but it was good. It was a fun, lighthearted film that I enjoyed.
I think it's my fault. I think I kind of dismissed it as saying like it's not, and fair enough. It's your own opinion.
Harvey
I
Picar's
disagree
Ghost.
with it.
I don't know. I feel like in other chats in the comics community too, sometimes your comments can be a little misleading or a little riddle-like, where someone's not really sure what you're trying to get at. So anyhow, we're moving on. Again, SNL is where the walk and talk idea came from for Sorkin / Shalom. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why you're holding so tight to them taking that from him when it's the other way around. Yeah, that's true. Also, that's true. The walk and talk. Sorkin got inspired by the walk and talk from SNL, from my understanding, from what you're saying, Brother John Comics. I didn't like the movie, but for much more reasons. Then tell us about those reasons.
You did have like an hour to say the other.
Tell us about those reasons. That's what we were asking. We were saying you were making. I was saying I shouldn't put words in your mouth, Aiden. I was saying you were making somewhat blanket statements about the film and not diving kind of deeper. So that's, I think, where this whole thing started. I wanted to know a little bit more of where you were coming from, what your other critiques of the film were.
I asked, what else don't you like about the movie?
Yeah. So I feel like we tried. I see what you mean, but I think they could have either done it differently or actually leaned even more into it being Sorkin-esque and made it a bit of a joke. I don't know. Neither, which is lazy filmmaking. Okay, Reitman did neither, which is lazy filmmaking. I disagree. I don't think it's a lazy filmmaking. Guys, it literally took all this time to even get past one minor point. LOL, WTF.
It's kind of on you. I mean,
I won't put the sole blame on him. I will put it on myself as well, because I was highlighting each comment as this was going on. So I had direct control of this conversation and I was steering it. So I will not put it all on Harvey.
Okay,
Definitely not.
Okay. I would like another time. Maybe I would like to hear what.
Yeah, you
I
said
would like to hear what you have to say. What you don't like.
Right. Yeah, I would like to know your other reasons for not liking this film. Alan, how are you doing, Alan? I hope you're doing well. Back under the bridge, Harvey. Alan is also from the comics community, elsewhere on YouTube. So whatnot. So am I being gaslit? What is happening? Harvey P. I don't think you're being gaslit, man. I really don't. I apologize. I think, and maybe if you were, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like.
Thank you, Alon. I appreciate that.
The idea of a movie being listed.
All right. I feel like we're not doing this conversation any justice by keeping this on for any longer. I feel like we've reached. Okay, Brother John Comics says, I thought the film was okay, but I agree with Harvey in that it's hard to get too emotionally invested when you get so little depth from the characters. I think
Fair enough.
I think that's the point I made about it being somewhat emotionally.
Yeah.
There not being much emotional depth. But Harvey, I might have missed the comment. he might have said something like that too. So,
But I also think when you have a 90-minute
yes, I agree with
movie,
you there, brother John Comics. I agree with you. Sorry, Aiden, what was that?
well, when you have a 90-minute movie with a bunch of characters, you're probably
Yeah, I
not
mean,
going to
there's
have
so many
much.
characters,
Yeah.
and they can only get so much screen time.
Lorne
And
Michaels' character depth, and he's kind of the only one that you can expect to get depth.
yeah, but I think I said before too, even with him, I felt like there really wasn't much emotional depth there.
Okay.
A little bit, I feel like we learn a little bit about the marriage with him and his wife, and the whole name thing. I didn't fully understand, to be honest. So I was a little lost there. So maybe I just kind of missed an element of emotional depth with those two characters. But even with that, I felt like there was not a whole lot of emotional depth. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either with this type of film. You have so much you need to cover. You have so many characters. It makes sense why the emotional depth is lacking. It
Yeah.
does make sense, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for that
Okay.
next comment to come through. Just
Alon, I yield, Harvey. I yield. Alon, you made the smart decision. Let me tell you, I have not yielded yet, and I'm regretting it. 100% exactly. The only way to do this properly on any level is to give more time to it. It isn't possible in a 90-minute movie, all of which I've already said, hence why I also already said that the movie shouldn't even exist. I disagree with that. I think it still works. But back to your point, it being not possible in a 90-minute movie, that's somewhat of an interesting argument. I think the phrasing, it not being possible, isn't 100% correct in my mind, because it is possible. They made a movie that in 90 minutes about this that worked in a lot of ways, in my opinion. But it would be interesting if they did a show or something about it, right?
mhm.
That's an interesting point, Harvey, where maybe it would have worked better as a Netflix show or a HBO show, whatever, limited series where we could be a little more in depth. But I don't know. I feel like
I also feel like SNL is great. I don't know if
yeah,
it needs to be like a 3-hour movie, or 2 hours.
yeah,
I mean, 2 hours would have been
right,
fine, but
yeah.
90. I don't mind when a movie is short.
Unless it was going to span like all of SNL.
Yeah,
I think maybe it could have done something like that. But I really like the idea of this film, of it being the 90 minutes leading up to the first SNL show. And
totally.
how crazy and chaotic that was. I really like that idea. And I think that's part of why this movie worked for me, in my opinion. I already said that movie shouldn't exist. Already got to that one. And the idea that you guys immediately dismissed Chevy's thoughts on the movie because of his rap being an asshole, that's just a logical fallacy. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll admit, maybe we were a little too dismissive of Chevy Chase and his thoughts on this film. So that's fair. I will give you that. Is literally Chevy Chase is literally one of the primary architects of SNL. But hey, who cares?
I don't think you can. I think he was one of the first people. He was
I
not
don't know about
actually on
architects.
SNL very long, so I don't
Yeah.
think you can really say that. Bill
And it
Murray,
seemed,
Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, not really Chevy Chase.
but I feel like too, the actors on the show, I think they are actors / writers, but there is like another set of writers that aren't even on the show that just write the show. And it felt like in this portrayal, right, which Harvey Picard, it seems like you disagree with, seems like Chevy Chase just showed up and that was it. And he did his part. He did a good job, but that was it. He was not necessarily
Yeah.
an architect like Lorne Michael was, where Lorne Michael literally built the show. He was the architect of SNL.
Yeah.
It is.
No, Chevy
It doesn't
Chase,
need
I
to be a
believe, was
movie to
only
have
in it for the first
script.
year. I
Yeah,
don't
he
think
was
he
not
was on
on
it the
long.
second year. Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know, because I think him and Bill Murray were together, and Bill Murray, I don't think was on the first season.
Oh,
So,
wait. No. I know that story. I think Chevy Chase was hosting the second year.
okay, that would make
I
sense.
believe. But
Yeah, because Chevy Chase
yeah.
did take off in his movie career.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the Lampoon movies and some other movies, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. He did The Three Musketeers, was that the name of
Three
it?
Amigos. Three
Three Amigos.
Amigos.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, Chevy Chase is a movie star, so it makes sense why he kind of left.
Chevy Chase is funny. I mean, he's funny in Community.
Yeah, I like
And
Chevy
he was
Chase.
funny on SNL.
Yeah, I like him. Brother John Comics. I don't agree with that. Films work and speak to everyone differently. Just because it isn't my jam doesn't mean it shouldn't exist for someone else that may process things differently than me. I do agree with that.
I totally. Very good point.
I
Very
think
good point.
saying that a film shouldn't exist it's just a hot take. For really,
Yeah.
there may be a few films where I would agree. Like I'm like, yeah, this movie should not exist. But I think for even if a movie's bad, it's like somebody tried to make a movie, maybe at one point, and it got off course. But I agree. I think any film speaks to anyone differently. That sentence
Yeah.
makes sense. I don't know.
I will say that I get where he's coming from. Like, I personally hate the Uncharted movie because I am such a massive fan of the games. I would like a world where it didn't exist, but I'm not going to say that it shouldn't exist. Like, I don't hate. I don't.
It's
wake
funny
up
because I
hating that it
love that
exists.
movie, and I'm glad it exists.
That can't be true.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
That was dog shit. But
A short documentary series, probably a better movie, even a miniseries, maybe.
there is a documentary series,
And I'm
about
sure there will
SNL.
be another one shortly. I'm imagining.
I think there's
there
one
will
coming
be-
out like now.
I'm sure there will be plenty more in the future. So Harvey Pekar, if you did, clearly you did not like this movie, but you can watch future documentaries. I'm sure that will be made on SNL. Thinking Bill Murray was more important to the creation of SNL only shows you don't know. I don't think anyone said that.
Oh no, I said that people like Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and
Oh, okay.
someone else were more like essentials. If Chevy Chase is only on it for a year and didn't have much part in the writing and was only in it for his own fame, I would not say he's an architect of SNL. He also is famously like disagreed with a lot of people on SNL. Like, he was not the
Had a lot of
greatest co-host.
fights.
I do not think he was an architect of SNL. I think he was the first star, probably, not an architect.
That's fair. That's fair to say he was the first SNL star, because it does seem like, and a lot of comedians do this with SNL too. They almost use it as a stepping stone to get to be a movie star or other projects, which is fine, right? And a lot of comedians, their end game is just SNL, and it leads to other things, right? And here, it feels like Chevy Chase is really just using SNL as a stepping stone for other things. And we see that even in this film with him being like, oh yeah, I got tapped to be the next Johnny Carson, and I'm going to be this big hot shot and whatnot. And he did kind of become the big movie hot shot. But anyhow,
Eddie Murphy, I would say, is more. Why are you guys even
interesting?
Making these
Okay. Why are you guys even making these big statements about things? You both made it clear at the start you didn't know all that much about this era. That's fair. Okay, that's fair.
If that's what you want to believe.
I will admit I don't know too much about this era. Aiden, it seems like you know a bit more than I do.
Shouldn't exist because the topic is inherently better covered by a longer format vehicle. Okay.
I don't see it saying it shouldn't exist. I think that's where I kind of disagree with it. You can make the argument that it should have been a TV show. It would have worked better that way. That's a fair argument. But saying this movie just shouldn't exist at all, I think that's crazy to me. Chevy Chase
people
being
can also
one of the
make another thing on SNL in the future.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm
it's
sure
not
they
like
will.
This is the one shot.
Right. No, I'm sure they will.
Like, oh, they fucked it up. We'll never get a good SNL movie.
Oh goodness. All right. Chevy Chase being one of the architects of SNL is purely factual. You guys not being aware of it doesn't change things. Okay. That's fair. All right. They're literally doing the SNL 50 right now. This movie wasn't meant to cover our full history. That's kind of what I was trying to get at too. It's just the 90 minutes leading up to the first episode. The first episode of SNL. So Chase 100% thought he was the star and of SNL and wanted to move him to forward. Yeah. There can be more than one thing, my man. That's also true. Yes, absolutely. All right. I think we should end it there. Obviously, some of us have differing opinions on this film. That's okay. I'm I I encourage discourse around movies. That's why I started this show, to have discourse around films.
No, it's fun. I mean,
Yeah,
I
no,
hope that guy
it's a lot of fun, but
returns.
I think we're just kind of button heads a little bit here, where we're just we're not getting anywhere, So,
Yeah.
Harvey Picar's Ghost, I respect your opinion. I'm glad you have an opinion about this film. I disagree with it in some regard, but it is what it is. I think that's okay.
The film
But yeah,
exists. It will exist tomorrow, whether you don't want to believe that.
very
So
true. Very true. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. Thank you everyone for chatting. Thank you, Harvey Picar's Ghost again. Brother John Comics, thank you for your input as always.
thank you.
Alon, thank you for joining. And is there any other commenters I'm missing? I don't think so. Aiden, do you want to plug anything? Do you have social medias you want to plug and shout out? I know you don't do YouTube, but you have an Instagram, but
Yeah, I have an Instagram.
I can start putting a link to your Instagram in the description below if you'd want to for these shows.
Okay, why don't I'll text you that then.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, geez, Brother John Comics, I am sorry you missed that discussion.
Yeah,
I will say we really enjoyed it.
That's a better
great.
movie than Saturday Night.
I will say I would more likely rewatch Saturday Night before I'd rewatch A Real Pain.
Okay.
But I do think A Real Pain has more to say. Bit of a slow burn, in my opinion. You feel the time of the film a little bit. But I did overall enjoy that film a lot. We talked a bit about the relationship between the main characters and how that really is the glue that holds the film together. And yeah, I think that's a great movie. I really do. I think remind me of the main actor's name, Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin. Yeah.
Amazing performance in this. We both agree on that. Cinematography, there were some great shots in this film that caught me off guard. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Aiden, anything you want to quickly add about A Real Pain for Brother John Comics here?
Just it's just really nice to see a movie that's at that type of scale that gets the attention it is.
I agree.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's a smaller film in a lot of respects. The story is not necessarily overly ambitious, I will say, which is not a bad thing. Don't take that as me saying as a negative of the film. But I think it really works for this film. The dialogue is amazing. The main characters feel very human.
Totally.
And,
fully three-dimensional.
Yeah. Oh, Eisenberg wrote and directed it beautifully.
Yeah.
I did not know I knew he wrote it or had a part in writing it and was a producer. I didn't know he directed it.
Yeah, it's his second directed film.
Wow. Okay. That gets me excited to see what else he does. I feel like
I think it's a lot based on his own. I think it's a lot based on his own experience.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm excited to see what else he does in the future. I'm sure he'll make more films like this on a smaller scale, but leave a impact in the viewer, which I think this film did. Yeah, Harvey Picar's Ghost. I would encourage you. You can't download. Okay, all right, fair. All right, we're moving on from.
Wait, I kind of want to say.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Was it this? A large part of both, and one of the things being kind of folded into the other. Okay.
And then
all right, well, and then you can't downplay the importance of the National Lampoon movies. I didn't know I was.
National Lampoon Radio Hour and the creation of SNL. Okay, maybe that's an aspect of this SNL story I'm not familiar with. Fair.
I don't know anything about that, so he's got me on that one.
The house they went to at the end of the film was the house his grandmother grew up in Poland. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And I like that. I like the aspect of that story. That adds a lot of emotional depth to the film. And his grandmother, their grandmother, she has a presence in the film, even though she's never shown. Her presence is felt between these two cousins, and Kieran Culkin's character clearly had a better relationship with his grandmother. They were much closer. So that's very felt throughout the film. And that's something I just thought of. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it, how much her presence is felt through the film. And it can be a very emotional movie at times, I feel like, too. And a little heavy, too, especially when they go to the concentration camps.
Yeah, that was tough.
That was tough. And then there was a conversation with the main two characters on a rooftop, smoking a joint, and they kind of get some things off their chest. And I thought that was very emotional. Yeah, I thought that was well done. The dialogue is spot on throughout the movie.
Yeah.
All right, RVP Cars Ghost. We are not talking about Chevy Chase anymore. You clearly are a better expert than me and Aiden on this matter. So we are going to just agree with you from now on this. We agree with you. No,
By
seriously,
default,
RVP
we
Cars
agree
Ghost,
with
though.
you.
Yeah, no, you are very you're very much more educated with this. So yes.
You've proven yourself.
You've proven yourself. You have. REP Cars Ghost, I would be interested to know your thoughts on this movie, A Real Pain. It is on Hulu for free. So go check it out. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. Unless we have any last minute things we want to talk about A Real Pain.
No, I pretty much got all my thoughts out. Yeah.
I would never steer you wrong, Labruski. All right, I'll take your word for it. You haven't yet, let me say. You haven't yet. I have A Real Pain downloaded already to watch. Awesome.
You should go watch it.
that.
Really
Come
great.
back next week and let us know your thoughts, because I would like to know your opinion. I value your opinion, RVP Cars Ghost, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, we do dive into A Real Pain earlier in the episode, Brother John Comics, if you want to check that out. We do dive into it a little bit deeper.
What movies
overall,
are we?
Good movie.
What movies are we
watching for next week? Let me get our document up. Here it is. Conclave and I'm Still Here. I do want to watch Conclave.
Conclave is great.
And I'm Still Here. I can't remember. I think that's a foreign film.
That's the Brazilian one, I believe.
Yeah. Conclave, let's definitely watch that for next week, and maybe we'll watch I'm Still Here. We'll see.
Okay. I did hear that was good. I don't know if it's available anywhere.
Okay, yeah. We'll check it out. Conclave, I think, is available on like Peacock or one of the streaming services. I know that. So, guys, if you want to watch that for our next episode, so you can add to the discussion, please do so. We will definitely watch Conclave, and the movie I'm Still Here, up in the air whether we'll watch that. Undecided. And then the week after that, the February 13th, we're going to watch Dune 2, or I'm going to watch Dune 2. You've seen it. Maybe you'll rewatch it. And then Nickel Boys.
I'd like to see
that.
And
then, yes. So, and then the week after, we'll watch The Brutalist and Complete Unknown. And then 2/27 is the Thursday before the Oscars. We're going to do an Oscar show, talking a little bit about some of our predictions. So yeah. Because Ghost Kieran Culkin is one of the only things I enjoy in Succession, which I hate. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I feel like Harvey P. Cars
That's-
Ghost, you have a very different taste in movies and TV shows, but that is okay. That makes you interesting. That's why I love you. That makes you interesting. So that's
Only thing
awesome.
I'll say to that is
Yeah.
He really had me at the end. Like I was back on his side. That last
And then
little comment.
he
I
throws
do
that in
think-
there.
I do think you suicide bombed on that one because that's like one of the most critically acclaimed shows of all time.
We talked about that at the beginning of the episode. That's in my personal like top 10, I think. Of my favorite
remarkably
shows.
relevant.
I love that show a
Yeah.
lot. But that's okay that you don't, Harvey P. Cars Ghost. It's not for everyone. But yes, that is going to do it for today's episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you have not already. And we will catch you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks everyone for watching.